Hello, everyone, and welcome to Harbor Time Strategy Talks. This is Colin Harbor, and it's another great day in Dallas, Texas. It's been a hectic morning for me. My wife had a commitment that she needed to get to, so I had to take both of my daughters to school, not just one of them. And the older one dropped the bomb on us at about 8:30 today that, hey, she was supposed to have a gift card, a gift exchange with somebody during second period. So we have literally been running around like chickens with our heads cut off this morning. So I'm glad to sit down and take a breath and going to have a great topic that we're going to cover today. I wanted to say one more time, because I've mentioned it on a couple of the podcasts. If you haven't gone out and looked at the pictures of Mars yet, if you haven't found some of the pictures or the sounds or the video from Mars, I encourage you to do so because they are incredible. We landed on Mars last week, and just seeing this other planet and what it looks like, and just the possibilities that are coming in the future is great to see. Leadership as a business strategy, or leadership in general, is always an important topic. In fact, entire industries are built on it. They're leadership industries. On this podcast, we've had previous people who talked about leadership. We actually had a leadership expert, one who's involved with John Maxwell and does a lot of motivation and leadership training. I bet, if I had to guess, more books have been written on leadership than almost any topic. It just seems like you always see leadership books and you hear about leadership and read about leadership. And I love doing it because it helps me. It helps me grow. It helps us grow into better people. My favorite leadership style personally is servant leadership. Servant leadership, people who don't necessarily see themselves as the dictator, and that they actually serve others. They lead by example. They do other things. Think about how different our world could be right now. Think about how different your business could be right now if everybody was a highly effective leader, if everybody was a strong leader, if everybody cared about leadership as much as you do, as much as our next guest does, as much as I do. So we're going to look at this in just a minute. I wanted to talk a little bit about the podcast. I thank you to everyone who listens and watches the videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing it with others. I've been providing long form content, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I'm going to continue to push it out that way. But even before we started recording, I was discussing with Tom, who I'll introduce in a minute, that I have this long form and cover a variety of topics, and it's a little bit all over the place. So what I'm going to start doing is cutting the podcast and cutting the videos down into shorter segments, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever the case may be, so that you can really concentrate on some of the specific topics. The long form content will always be available, but start looking for some of the shorter content that comes out. I thought about that overnight. And when I woke up this morning, I went out to prepare a little bit before my morning went to haywire, to prepare for Tom Lawrence, who's going to be our next guest, and went out to his YouTube channel. And he's got a YouTube channel called Leadership and Growth. And it's got great content out there about leadership development and how to be a better leader. And I'm probably not even doing it justice, but it's shorter clips, it's shorter presentations, it's shorter audio, 5 to 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 4 minutes. And it really allows you to concentrate on a specific topic. So I want to encourage you to go out and listen to some of Tom's content on YouTube, Leadership and Growth, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So thank you for listening, and let me go ahead and introduce our next the guest for today. So Tom Lawrence, actually I had your name spelled wrong on my sheet here, but Tom Lawrence is we've spent a little bit of time talking. I can say he is going to be our first guest from England, from Great Britain, which is great. I did meet with someone from Toronto this week, so we're doing the global tour right now. Tom has a website, highlyeffectiveleader.com, and has a YouTube channel, like I mentioned, that pushes out great content on leadership. By the way, he's approaching 5,000 followers on that, over 4,600 followers. I don't remember the exact number. So there's a lot of people who are taking in this content. Additionally, he just published a book on leadership, which we'll talk about, and I'll put some information up about that for the video. But even those of you who have followed him, you may not know that Tom is a former rock star. I mean, maybe he's still a rock star, but I mean a bona fide rock star. Travel or moved from England to the United States. He was in Liverpool at the time, and you may have heard of some other great bands, or at least one great band from Liverpool. So he followed in those footsteps. So we'll probably discuss that a little bit too, and what that meant from a leadership and business standpoint. Hey, Tom, thank you for joining today.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for that great introduction.
Tell us a little bit about Tom. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and what is highlyeffectiveleader.com?
Well, highlyeffectiveleader.com is a website. It started off as a blog, which I started in January 2020, and basically it's me just writing about my leadership experiences that I've had since I was, even 16 years old. When I first left school, when I was 16, I started an engineering job. I became an apprentice mechanical engineer, and I've been in the engineering industry since then, up until now, so that's nearly 22 years. And I've been in the automotive side of the engineering industry, the heating and gas side of it, and now I've been in the rail industry since 2005. So I've worked with a lot of leaders, a lot of managers, a lot of supervisors, and basically what the website is me talking about my own experiences with these leaders and managers and supervisors, but also my own experiences of actually being in a leadership position, and trying to help people with the mistakes that I've made and how I've learned from them. And hopefully people can resonate and relate to.
Wait, you've made mistakes?
I've made mistakes. I still make mistakes every single day. I know you do as well.
All right. I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, okay.
So what I talk about on my blog, on my website, and also on my YouTube channel is basically what I've done, what the leaders I've experienced, and what I've learned from them. And hopefully the people who read and watch these videos can resonate with them and relate to what I'm saying, and learn from them, and hopefully get inspired to take the next steps in their leadership journey. So hopefully they can take some inspiration from what I've done in the past to help them move forward with themselves, with their own teams, with their own leadership, with their own personal growth. So that's basically what the website's there for.
I appreciate that. And I think that is an effective way to build ideas, is what is my experience? What have I done in the past? What have I learned? Because if it's happened to me, it's probably happened to others, and let's communicate about it. Let's talk about it. So let's start with the book then. I'll just lead with the book. You published a book, wrote a book, Manager to Leader. Why?
Yeah. Well, it's basically taken what I've been writing about since February 2019, and putting these blogs together before I actually started the website, and just putting it all together into a book. So the Manager to Leader part of the book, it's got 10 chapters in, and what it is basically people. It's targeted at managers, supervisors, team leaders who have got the position, got the job title, but then what? So people think that when you get the position or the job title manager, then you're at the top of the leadership ladder. Well, actually, no, you're not. You're actually right at the bottom. So it's basically targeting those managers and supervisors to go beyond the position, go beyond the job title, and actually become the leader that your team need you to be, and become the leader that you wish you had. So the book is there to help those managers and supervisors do that. I mean, just having the job title manager does give you a certain authority and gives you a certain amount of power. But as a leader, and as you said earlier, your best style of leadership is servant leadership. A manager and a supervisor, their job is to serve their people, serve their team, and that's what this book is there to help them with. Is to understand what servant leadership is, why we need to serve our people, and how to serve our people. And hopefully the people who read the book can gain some good lessons from it, gain some good advice, and start to lead in that way and serve their people.
Yeah, well, let's look at that a little bit further then. How can a leader serve their people? I've seen, at least in business, maybe we're not talking about military, even though it applies there, or other things. But I've seen in businesses where I had leaders who did serve us. They did help. They were on the front lines and in the trenches with us. Let's explore that a little bit further. How can leaders do that?
Well, serve your people. I mean, serve is just another word for saying help. So basically, as you said, like you've worked with leaders who did help us, and it's a leader's responsibility. It's not a job description. It's not anything. It's not a job title. It's a responsibility of the leader to grow and develop your people, and that's how you serve them. Is you help your people become the best person that they can be. And it goes beyond the job. It can move into their personal life. It can help them with their family life. I mean, have you ever heard of a guy called Bob Chapman from Barry Waymiller? He wrote a book called Everybody Matters. Well, I'd highly recommend you read his book, Everybody Matters. And what he says is, in the company that he works in, Barry Waymiller, everybody is somebody's precious child. So he treats his people in who work for him in this company as his children. So how would you treat your children? So he's treating the people as you would treat your own children. So it's a leader's responsibility to, as I say, to grow and develop their people, and the way to do that is to help them become the best person that they can be every single day. And how you do that is you lead by example. If you become the best person you can be, if you want to add value to your people, you must become the most valuable person you can be. You can't give what you don't have. So unless you work on yourself every day and lead by example, exactly. As you've also said.
One of the previous I mentioned a guest that I had previously on who spoke about leadership. One of the things he said, if you're not developing yourself, so you just mentioned developing yourself and making yourself better every day, that you're going to end up getting exposed. And the example he gave was COVID. When COVID hit, or when the pandemic hit, and people were sent home and people had to come up with solutions, leaders or people who were not self-developers were exposed. And I think it goes along these same lines from a leadership standpoint. If you are not developing yourself as a leader, whether it's reading, whether it's watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, all of the above, you're going to get exposed. It's going to catch up with you. Besides, you should want to be better. You should want to be more effective. Let's talk about a leadership style that I think both of us would agree is not effective, and that's the dictatorship style of leadership. Why? I mean, maybe in the past, maybe in the good old days and the good old boy network and all of that, maybe those types of styles were acceptable. But we're in 2021. We are a different type of people globally right now than we've ever been. I think that goes without saying. Why is dictatorship? Why is a dictatorial style of leadership ineffective in 2021?
Well, if I look back at my own personal experiences of working with managers and leaders who were dictators, It's how they made us feel. Like when you wake up in the morning, do you feel like you want to go to work? Do you feel like, and when you get to work, how do you feel when you're at work? Do you want to give your 100% best for the team, for the leader, for the organization, or do you want to just do the bare minimum just to get through the 8 hours and get paid at the end of the week or at the end of the month? And the style of leadership or dictatorship is what is what makes people feel that they only want to give the bare minimum because they either hate the leader or they don't like them very much. And dictatorship, as you well know, is basically telling people what to do and then they go and do it. They're not inspiring the people to give their own ideas, their own solutions, their own recommendations. They're not inspiring them to implement their own ideas. They're not inspiring them to help other people. It's just basically come to work, get told what to do, go home. And it's how people feel like at the end of the day. And if you go home from a day's work of 8 hours feeling awful, how are you going to be with your wife or your husband or with your children? It's a big snowball effect. It all has an impact. And the style of leadership that we were talking about, servant leadership, is the exact opposite. You're inspiring your people to feel great. You're helping them wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock or whatever time you wake up at. Can't wait to get to work. When they get to work, they're with all the team. That they feel great. They want to give 100% best for the team, for the leader, for the organisation, and the leader is creating the environment that focuses on them, that helps them to give that, want to give their ideas, want to give their solutions to problems, helps them to solve their own problems, and it's not telling them what to do. It's inspiring them to come up with their own ideas and solutions, and that is the way leadership should be these days.
I've worked for both type. Well, I've worked for all types of leadership styles, and I have. Yeah, that's a great point that you make, particularly the how you feel. I mean, if you are just smashed down at work, yeah, it's going to roll over into your personal life. It just is. There's no way to separate it if you go to work for 8 hours or put up with that. A great quote says that people don't remember what you say; they remember how you made them feel. And you're exactly. Always going to remember how you felt in a situation or with a boss, the way they treat you, or a manager, or whatever you want to call it. I want to take a little bit of a different approach now, Tom, and I told you I was going to do this, and we've already talked a little bit about it, but you're a rock star. You are a bona fide Santana. Your band had Santana style music, we said. Transplanted yourself from Liverpool all the way to the west coast of the United States.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the lessons learned during this time. I think it's awesome. I told you I was in a band in 8th grade and they kicked me out, but whatever, that happens sometimes. But let's talk a little bit about the lessons learned, leadership lessons or personal lessons. Because it's my understanding that the company, the producers or the promotion company, whatever it is that brought you over, ended up going under after a few months. They're already having some decline. So let's talk about that for a little bit. I think it's a great topic and a great story.
Yeah, I mean the company the way we started was we had a female singer, and she was the partner of the other guitar player those two were the songwriters, so they were the leaders of the band. And the girl singer, she was basically the leader of all of us. So she was the one who had the ideas for the songs, had the ideas of how we should be, how we should look, who we should be, or where we should be playing, who we should be promoting our music to, sending off demo tapes to record companies, speaking with managers and all that stuff. So she was the leader basically. I was 20 years old. She was about 22 or 23. But she was so determined, and if I didn't know it at the time, but the way I look back at it now, she was a great leader. She did lead by example. She was always helping me with my guitar style, and if there was a certain thing that I was playing that she wasn't happy with, it wasn't that she wasn't happy; she would help me, improve it. And so would Carl, who was the other guitar player. And then after about 2 years of us playing around Liverpool, around London, and different parts of the UK, we got a call from America in Los Angeles saying that they wanted to sign us to their record company. So as you can imagine, we were like, oh my god, this is unbelievable. I mean, at the time, I'd just been made redundant from my first job as well. So so I was sort of looking for a job, and it was around that time when the record label came to us saying we want to sign you, and I was like, oh, okay, I've got a new job now. So we went over to America.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's 5 of us in the band. We all went to America. We recorded an album. I've still got the album today. I still listen to it sometimes. And we were in Marina Del Rey, which is part of Los Angeles. We lived there. We were there for about 6 months, and we started to play, gigs. We played in the Whiskey A Go Go in Los Angeles, which is where like bands like Kiss and Van Halen and The Doors and all these amazing bands played. So we started to promote our album and things, and then after about 6 months, the record label, for whatever reason it was, went bust and went under. So we had to sort of stop everything we were doing and come back to Liverpool. But for those 6 months, I was a kind of a rock star. So when you were telling people, I was a rock star, if people start looking me up on the internet, they're not going to find anything. It was like 2003, okay. This right. Or 2004. Well, this was.
I know you're a rock star. I know you're a rock star, and I think it's awesome. But what sort of lessons do you think you can take from that story, or whether it's leadership lessons or just personal life lessons? You're 20 years old, you move halfway across the world, and then it just kind of stops. You got to move back.
Yeah, well, the life lessons that I learned, like since then, or since I came back and I started learning about leadership and realizing that leadership is a huge passion for me, and helping other people is a huge passion for me. What I learned from that is follow your dream, because at that time my dream was to become a rock star, and we didn't give up. Basically, do not give up on your dream. At the moment, at this very moment in time, my dream is to try and build highlyeffectiveleader.com as big as possible, and build on my YouTube channel, build more resources to help people, like online courses, speaking, but more books, and just keep building on this dream. And what I learned from those lessons in those days when I was 20 years old is do not give up. If you have something that you really want to do, that you think can make a difference in the world, or make a difference in some people's lives, don't give up. Keep doing it. Keep working hard. You will have days where you don't feel like doing something, but push through. There was days when I was in Los Angeles where I wanted to give up. I wanted the thing wasn't working for me. I was, maybe I'd had a few too many drinks the night before or something like that, or we did a bad gig or something like that. But we didn't give up. We carried on playing until we got told, "I'm sorry, there's no more record company." But that's basically the lesson I got: is do not give up on your dream. Keep following it and push through whatever that dream may be. You will get there in the end if you keep pushing.
Yeah. So one of my other guests, again, I always refer back to my guest now, but was he was a triathlete, a professional triathlete, and he went to Europe to train with a former Australian boxer, was his trainer on his triathlete. And he told a story, gave an example of one day he just wasn't having a good training session. And, the trainer said, "Look, each one of your training sessions," or I could, point to you and say, each one of your days, each one of your gigs, each one of these experiences is like a stone. And you're going to take these experiences, you're going to pick up the stone, you're going to take it and you're going to put it behind you. Some of the experiences are going to be diamonds. Some of them are going to be rocks. Some of them are going to be coals, but you're going to keep piling them together. and they're eventually going to become a mountain. And that's going to be the mountain of work that you can take with you wherever you go through life. And I think that's when you were explaining kind of what it meant to you, that's what I was referring back to, that example of just this mountain of work. So yeah, it was, however long ago, and it was fun and all of that, but you learned a lot from it, and you're putting it in, you're making the mountain of work. So that's awesome. I think everybody wants to be a rock star at some point in their life. So it's awesome that you got to do that. So if you could step into my shoes, we're going to kind of wrap it up here, but if you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't today?
I probably would have asked, you talk a lot about leadership, Tom. What is your vision? What is your just cause? If you want me to go into it, my vision and my just
Now I
cause
want
is
you
I
to
can.
answer it. Since you've asked the question, you've got it. Yeah, since you've asked the question, you need to answer it now.
Yeah. Well, my just cause and my vision is I can see a world where our leaders all over the world can create environments that focuses on people. They don't focus on numbers, they don't focus on business growth, they don't focus on targets, they don't focus on goals, they focus on people. And the environment helps people to learn to lead, to grow, and to increase their influence for the good of us. Now, the good of us side of it is when we were talking earlier about, going home from work and being a better father to your children, being a better mother to your children, being a better husband or better wife. It all has this snowball effect. Leadership has this snowball effect. And I think I can see a world where our leaders can create that and create those environments for our people to thrive, to be the best person they can be. And that is what I'm trying to advance with highlyeffectiveleader.com and with my books and with all the other resources that I'm going to create in the future. And with doing things like this with the podcast with yourself. That is what I'm trying to advance, and that's what I want.
Yeah, well, that's a great vision. That's a great vision, and I'm glad you shared it. And I haven't really thought about vision in a while. What is my ultimate mission? Vision, and that's a great one to really focus on people, to make people better, so that the world is better. And it might even seem a little bit generic to some, but I think that is the core of what we should be doing in life. It's not about us. It's about making people more effective, highlyeffectiveleaders.com, so that they are better people, better leaders, better to others. And it is a snowball effect through the generations. It's just going to happen. So I appreciate you, Tom. I appreciate you. I'm glad we had a chance to meet a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad that we've had a chance to talk today. I might one day have to get your autographs since you're a rock star. I am actually an autograph collector, and I don't have a whole lot of rock star collectors now.
Well, I want your autograph as well.
I did. Yeah, I did have the Edge from U2's autograph once, and I lost it. I'll have to tell you one day about how I was at a U2 concert in Fort Worth back in, I don't know, 87 or 88, and we're just standing there, and he just walks up from the hotel across the street, me and two guys, and I was like, had him sign my shirt. Well, there's no telling what happened to that shirt. Very disappointing. But so, hey, thank you everybody for listening. I know if you go out and look at Leadership and Growth, the Leadership and Growth channel on YouTube, if you go out and look at highlyeffectiveleader.com and start to take in some of these resources and this content, I think you're going to learn a lot. You'll also be able to provide feedback and to contribute, which is a natural part of growth. But leadership is key. Leadership is as key now as ever. Leadership will never go away. The need for highly effective leaders, the need for personal growth and development as a leader will always be around. So thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share the information. Also, don't forget to provide feedback. That's very helpful when you do so. Oh, you know what? I did forget one more question. This is not fair to Tom. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Tom, how can they do that?
Or they can go on to the best way to get in touch is you can go onto my website. There's the contact details there, or the best way is probably through LinkedIn. I'm just Tom Lawrence. You'll see the photograph of me, and you can just send me a direct message there, or leave me a message on the profile.
Okay, well, good. So I'll put up the highlyeffectiveleader.com, and I apologize. I was supposed to ask that. That's my last question all the time, and I forgot it today. So I've already done my closing, and I know that you've got Tom's information. So Tom, again, thank you, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot as well.